Cheers. Ugh, all I had was almond milk. And I don't like almond milk. I think it's kind of gross. But this one's for you, Miss Nicole. Hi, my name is Alyssa, and I like to talk about what many of us would call a moving picture. Many of us would call it the movies. Many of us would also call it cinema. And today we are talking about A24's latest erotic thriller, Babygirl.
As soon as I heard it was called Babygirl, I'm like, yeah.
I'm interested.
I'm done.
Right.
I'm in.
Right.
I want to be the baby girl.
Some of you might be coming away from the whole A Complete Nosferatu Babygirl watch party that's been going on. And I'm so sorry, but I hate to say it, but stop trying to make Barbenheimer Part 2 or 4 happen, because it's not going to happen. Get a hobby. And yes, the rumors are true. I am the target demographic for a gothic horror based around a vampire who's trying to seduce a hot young woman who was also in The Idol. But I'm also the target audience for women in power making bad decisions. Am I a woman in power? To be determined. But have I made many terrible decisions in my life? Of course. I also know that I'm the target demographic for this because I have been spoon-fed content for Babygirl for the last about 2 months. Ever since that first trailer dropped, I've just been like gobbling it up. And you know what? I am not mad about it. As for A Complete Unknown, I'm not the target audience. I'll watch Timmy as Bobby go electric when that movie gets Best Picture nom, but until then, do not look at me, do not perceive me. So let's just get into Babygirl. Written and directed by Bodies, writer and director Halina Reijn, Babygirl is an erotic thriller that's taking place around the Christmas time, and it follows Rami, a CEO of a major tech company, and her steamy affair with her intern. It's giving Eyes Wide Shut. It's giving May December. It's giving Britney Spears in Womanizer as the CEO. You know what I am talking about. Get HR on the phone because she is giving charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. The only thing in this movie that is not giving charisma, uniqueness, nerve, or talent is that fucking wig. I mean, look at this. What is this? To be fair, Nicole Kidman is like notoriously known for having bad wigs in cinema, and that is something that I think has entered the level of camp. Like, it is constantly so bad, and you're just like, why am I here? And then you see her acting and you go, oh yes, I am sad for this. Nicole in this movie is playing the gaslight, gatekeep, final girl boss, Rami, who in this universe is literally Jeff Bezos, but if he were in a cult and a woman. She has achieved this level of power thanks to some robots that she's developed over her career, and we love women in STEM. Playing Rami's husband Jack is Antonio Banderas, and he is a theater director and also apparently bad in the bedroom. I simply refuse to believe that Antonio Banderas is bad in the bedroom because I saw him have a lot of, chemistry in an interview with a vampire with Louis, i.e. Brad Pitt. And I'm sorry, but I think that man could fuck a chair and nobody would be like, oh, he didn't fuck that chair believably. Also, I think this is a great time in the conversation to give a content warning. This movie is an erotic thriller. So there is going to be chit chat about some like kinky stuff. Also, intercourse. But I'm going to try to PG-ify this conversation as much as possible. So just warning, but stay with me. The next important character who I would say is vital to the Babygirl-ness of it all is Samuel, played by Harrison Dickinson.
Hi, editing me. I realized that I say Harrison Dickinson a lot throughout this video, and his name is Harris Dickinson, so please forgive me and my foolishness. I think I get it right the very last time I say it, so.
And guys, he was born to play a hot 25-year-old in a cunty little tank top. Does he have personality? Why, yes. Is that personality problematic? It's not what you want to date. And when I tell you that I would let this man ruin my life in the same way that Rami lets him ruin her life, yeah, it's not even funny. The reason I say this is a guy you would not want to date but like have an affair with, which problematic, is that he kind of acts like he hates women and that he doesn't care about anything, and yet he is super sensitive. He is giving textbook definition of jobless behavior, and I love it. Also, not like super important, but Rami and Jacob have 2 kids. The only one that's important is the eldest one named Isabel. I didn't even write down the youngest one's name. I confused it with somebody else in this movie that like it just is not relevant. I could not tell you what the youngest girl's name is without looking at the Wikipedia. So here's her name. The reason behind Rami's affair in Babygirl is pretty obvious to see. Homegirl has been really struggling in the bedroom with her husband for about 19 years. And like, work is not going well. She's really stressed out. Again, look at the bag wig. That tells you all you need to know. And so when she starts to kind of feel a sort of way for Samuel, and he reciprocates that emotion and is able to do it in a way that really gets her going, Rami is like really willing to risk it for the biscuit because she needs some sort of release. She needs some sort of like comfort. And honestly, if that is the thesis of the movie, is that sometimes when you're really stressed out, a real hot guy getting you all the way to the finish line is all you need sometimes. And I love that. That is feminist cinema. I've also seen some discourse online about the age gap in this movie. And like, sure, Samuel's 25. Nicole Kidman's character is like 56, I believe. And guys, I hate to tell you this, they are two full-grown, consenting adults that like have adult conversations about what they're doing. I feel like people only really get up in arms when an older woman is dating a younger man, especially like in cinema or in real life, as we've seen with like Aaron Taylor Johnson and his current partner. And it's all because it stems from like this internalized misogyny that we don't always recognize is there. Some psychologists have discovered that there's like this whole stigma against older women dating younger men, and that comes from our like gender expectations and our ideas of beauty, and that for some reason older women are just not like traditionally beautiful and don't have any other role outside of being a mother. And it's wild to have that idea and then look at Nicole Kidman and be like, yeah, she should only be a mom. And like having sexual attraction to someone does not mean that you want to reproduce. Like sometimes people just want to Marvin Gaye and get it on. And how do you feel about that reference from 2015? Older women deserve roles that see them as human beings and not just as mothers. Nicole Kidman, who is a fantastic actress, has been acting as a mother in the last 5 movies she did, including Babygirl. But listen, Babygirl, she gets to have sex. All of this is to say is that like beauty doesn't age out, and like people's sexual desires or just their like human desires do not have an age cap on them. And maybe that's why to me this movie wasn't like extremely shocking. I know there was like a shock value behind like the trailers, and so coming in I thought this was going to be a lot more kinkier than it was, and it wasn't super kinky. There were moments where I was just like, oh, couldn't be me. My kink is not your kink and your kink is not mine, and that's just life, man. Were there moments that had me gagged and goop in this? Yeah. So enough of me talking. Let's get into what Rami was really doing all those late nights in the office. So this is your spoiler warning. Just a heads up, I will be spoiling the entire plot of Babygirl. If you just want to figure out what my final grade is of this movie, I highly recommend that you go check out that chapter in my description. But let's get into it. So we open with Rami and Jacob doing the dirty. Casual. And it really just sets the tone for the entire movie because honestly, guys, it's pretty vanilla. It's pretty vanilla, yet Jacob is loving it. After they finish, after Jacob finishes and he falls asleep because, you know, guys, am I right, ladies? Rami sneaks out of bed and grabs her laptop so she can finish while she's like laying on the living room floor. I mean, she came to this place for magic, but like, is this the Magic Girls? Also, side note, I didn't get the Nicole Kidman AMC ad before this movie, and I just want to ask the theaters, what the heck? What were we doing? I came to this place to see Miss Nicole twice. Why am I not doing it? I need some answers. The people want answers, AMC. But obviously, Rami in the trenches. She is trying to be a good mom, a good wife, and continue to break the glass ceiling, but guys, all she needs is some Harrison Dickinson in her. On her way to work, Miss Rami is like double blackberried up, you know, when she sees a dog on the prowl. Like, whose dog is this? And he's chewing some guy's arm up. Like, oh my god, he's like really chewing his arm up. And then the dog spots Nicole and he's like, I'm a bite. Then somebody whistles. And the dog goes to this mysterious guy in a big puffy jacket and he's eating a cookie out of his hand, and Nicole's like, I want to be that dog. But she has no time for this. She has no time for fantasies. She's got to clock in. At work, Rami's assistant Esme comes in and she asks Rami if she has time to meet the new interns. And guys, would you believe that one of the new interns, the tallest one in the room, is the guy who stopped the dog from attacking Rami? Class, meet Samuel. Oh man, when I tell ya, he's got some boyish charm and some fuckassery about him that really melts the coldest of hearts. And you want to know what I mean by fuckassery? Let me give you an example. When Rami asks if anyone has any questions, Samuel clocks her and goes, hey, do you actually think you're doing good with your robots that you're inventing, or are you just doing it to like make a profit? Well, nobody was ready for that question. Esme is mortified. She's like, oh, ugh, and shoos everyone out of the room, and she's like, okay, I gotta go. I'm so sorry about this. I'll fire him. And Rami's like, no. Keep him around. Down in the break room, the interns are encouraged to apply for a mentorship, and they're also told that they are invited to the annual Christmas party. That's right, guys, it's Christmas time. I mention this now because it truly upsets me that this movie is based around the Christmas time, yet I never know what day of the week it is, nor do I know how many days till Christmas it is, nor do we ever celebrate said holiday. It's almost like it's just there to look nice and be pretty for the camera, and then we just never talk about it. Like, let them be fucking Jewish. Let them have Hanukkah. We need more Hanukkah movies, so let it be Hanukkah. Anyways, Rami corners Samuel in the break room, and she's like, hey, how'd you stop that dog? And he's like, I gave it a cookie. And she's like, interesting. He's like, what, would you like a cookie? Samuel, this is a Wendy's. And he's just like, oh, I'm so sorry, that was inappropriate. And she's like, yeah, it was inappropriate, but I liked it. Later that night, Rami is doing one of my favorite late night activities, which is watching YouTube in bed. When Jacob wakes up and he's like, you know what, girl, I want to play. But Rami is like, I don't know. And she's like so afraid to be vulnerable that she like puts a sheet over her head and she's like, what if we did some of this and maybe some of that? And he's just like, oh no, I feel bad doing this. I don't really like it. Can we just do missionary? And she's like, ugh. Fine. At the holiday party, Rami is feeling a bit stressed out. Again, work is not great. She's not getting pleasured at home and she's like just really stressed out by life. So she goes to the roof to get like a breather and guess who comes out there to have a cigarette? Yeah, it's Samuel. He comes out to smoke and he is just chatting her up and guys, this is the scene that really got my ass. He asks her questions, yet he interrupts her every time she starts to answer a question and she's like, what the fuck is this? And then he goes, oh yeah, by the way, I chose you to be my mentor. And she's like, I didn't even know I was doing that program. And he goes, well, your name was there. I clicked it. You're my mentor. And before Rami can ask a single question, he's like, bye, and like walks back into dance. And whatever it is that man was selling, Rami is hooked. Rami goes in to keep watching Samuel because she is interested. And would you believe the song that is playing on the loudspeaker is Robin's Dancing on My Own? Wow, the artist becomes the art. And Rami is literally in the corner watching Samuel not kiss someone, but dance with somebody. And she's like, oh, ooh, ooh. Also, no, while dancing, Samuel does take off his tie and drops it on the ground because he's free, he's loose, he's fun. The next day at the office, Rami comes in and she's looking around and she sees Samuel's tie on the ground and she's like, oh, I'm just gonna pick this up. And then she goes to her office and she's tip-tapping away and she's listening to her financial podcast and she's like, wow, no one's in the office because I think it's a Saturday. Unsure, never know what day of the week it is. But she's taking a break and then one thing leads to another and then she's putting Samuel's tie in her mouth and, you know, having the time of her life. But something about having a tie in her mouth makes something click for her and she's like, I gotta get absolutely snatched. We're talking Botox, we're talking cryotherapy, self-tanning, some light therapy to help her pull out from the cult that she was once in, I guess. But she's feeling her fantasy and we love that for her. Unfortunately, her eldest daughter Isabel is like, ooh, mom, why do you look like a dead fish? Time and place, Isabel. Now feeling self-conscious because her teenage daughter said she looked like a dead fish, Rami is like trying to get back into the office and kind of like hide herself a little bit with her work. But guess who gets in the elevator with her? Samuel. And the elevator is a very scary place to get stuck with your crush. Like, what happens in a closed space with no windows and no people? Oh no, I hope they don't kiss. Samuel notices the bruise on Rami's face and clocks it as Botox, but unlike her daughter, he actually gave her a compliment. He's like, you know what? That looks really nice on you. And she's like, Samuel, stop. In her office, Esme is helping cover up the bruise for Rami and then pivots the conversation to talk about a potential promotion that she could get. And again, guys, time and place. And Rami is like, we can talk about this after the holidays, but girl, I gotta go. Where does she have to go? She has a meeting with her mentee, Samuel. But she walks into this soundproof room in what I believe is the basement of their office building. And she's like, I have less than 7 minutes. Let's get this going. What do you want to ask me? And he's just like, well, how did you get into this business? And she's like, I was recruited. They asked me a bunch of stupid questions, like how many ping pong balls can fit into a room? And he's like, that's actually a very interesting question. And he starts doing some math. And she's like, what do you actually want to know from me? And he's like, I don't know. I think you like to be told what to do. And she's like, what? What? And she's like, I have no more time. Goodbye. And she goes to leave. And Samuel goes, wait, this is how many ping pong balls can fit in the room. And she's like, I'm gonna kiss. And so they kiss. This is a lot. So much is happening. So much is happening. Has Rami met her match? She doesn't know. She needs to go to the countryside estate. And as someone who has watched quite a few AD videos and also loves putting together a good Pinterest board and scrolling through Zillow late at night, I have a few thoughts about this house. Mainly, I don't like how far away the pool is from the main house. Like during the summer, the distance is fine. Like that would be a really good time. But in the winter, no. For how many people are swimming in this pool in this movie, that walk back from the pool to the house has to be miserable. You're walking with wet, cold feet on what I would assume is crunchy, frozen grass. Girl, could not be me. So the whole family goes to the countryside estate and they go hiking. But that night, Rami hears somebody in the pool and she looks out. And it's her teenage daughter, Isabel, swimming with a girl who apparently lives next door to them. In the morning, Rami goes, hey, so you like the neighbor girl? And her daughter's like, yeah, she's pretty cool. Rami's like, okay, but what about your girlfriend, Mary? And Isabel responds by, Mom, I'm just having some fun. But that's all Rami needs to hear to kind of validate her feelings. And she enters what I am calling her feral era. I know we've all had a feral era, and that is a-okay. But sometimes you gotta take a step back and be like, what's actually being put at risk when I do certain actions? Back in the city, Samuel runs up to Rami and he's like, hey girl, it's been about a week since our last meeting. We need a second meeting or you're not gonna be my mentor anymore. Because, you know, he's actually here to do his job. But Rami's like, okay, we'll get to it. I gotta go.
I'm sorry, but I have to go.
And she's feeling really overwhelmed. So you know who she needs to see? Her husband, Jacob. She enters the theater to see the final rehearsal of the play that he's about to put on. And he's like, I'm really busy and I kind of don't have time for you right now. I'm so sorry. I love you. Bye. And guys, Rami desperately needs a distraction from Samuel. So she's like, maybe my work friends can help me out. So she goes to the bar to meet up with her girlfriends. And oh my fucking God, Samuel's here. And he's looking hot. No, not this. Rami sits down and the waiter brings her a glass of milk and everybody at the table has the correct reaction when they go, ew, what is that? Someone literally asked her, you're not gonna drink that, are you? And she looks up and locks eyes with Samuel, who is watching her, and she goes, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna chug this entire glass of milk. Apparently this was based on a real life incident that the director experienced when she was at some bar in like Belgium. And she cites that this moment like really rocked her world. Did she have tummy issues the next morning? Yes. But also someone really challenging you to a freak off is kind of hot. Dinner's over. Rami is paying for the meal because she is a good boss, you know. Then Samuel walks up behind her and this is how we get this line.
Good girl.
The next night, Samuel leaves Rami a note to meet up at some dingy hotel in Lower Manhattan, and that's exactly what she does. She's sitting there on the bed by herself because, guys, where the fuck is Samuel? He isn't there. And she's like, harump, what the heck is going on? She gets up to leave when Samuel shows up with some groceries, and he's like, oh, you're here. Glad you made it. Girl, what do you mean? You weren't on time. But as they're going about their days, they're figuring things out. They're figuring out what their boundaries are with this whole entire like new relationship that they're starting. And this is how we end up with this image of Rami on all fours eating a strawberry bonbon out of Samuel's hand. They really match each other's freak and I am obsessed with that. And this entire meeting ends with Rami finally climaxing at the touch of a man for the first time in 20 years. A reason to celebrate for the heteros. But this moment really sparks new life for Rami. Like, she's doing better at work, she's spending more time with her family, and guys, she is continuously getting dick down in her office 24/7. And dare I say, her wig is starting to look good. After an unknown amount of time, Rami and her family are back at the countryside estate, and she's walking in when she hears a familiar voice. Guys, Samuel is there. She's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, remember, I'm your intern and your mentee. Like, I have a right to be here. And don't worry, this is not some like fatal attraction moment. He's actually there to drop off her laptop because apparently she needs it over the weekend. But Rami does not care. She is pissed off. She drives Samuel back to the train station and she's like, hey, we gotta talk about this because time out, you cannot be around my family. And he's like, girl, what do you mean? I'm doing my job. Also, whatever's going on between us, that's just playtime. This is business time. And she's like, okay, but still, boundaries. And he's like, you know what? You. And he gets out of the car and walks away. Again, this is jobless behavior and I don't approve of it because in this circumstance, it feels a little bit manipulative. And again, remember when I said it kind of feels like he hates women? This is one of those instances where I'm just like, okay guys, we're blowing our top. Let's just like take a minute and listen. The next day at the office, Esme is trying to get that promotion from Rami, but she's like, ooh, I'm busy. You know why she's busy? She got a text from Samuel going, meet me at the roof. And she's like, I'm going. On the roof, Samuel's like, hey, so I'm gonna not be your mentee anymore and I'm gonna transfer to a different internship within the company that's not around you. Rami's rightfully like, girl, what do you mean? That's gonna raise so many red flags. They're gonna look into it and I'm gonna get fired and you're gonna get fired. Samuel's like, oh, tough shit. I'll just get a job somewhere else. What are you gonna do, flop? What the heck? That night, Rami's having a bit of a tough time at home because 1, she just lost her side piece, and 2, her entire career is at risk. When Jacob tries to get frisky with her, she's like, can you fuck off for like 2 minutes? Guess what? I've never climaxed with you in the 19 years we've been together. And he's like, wait a minute. What? Dare I say I was gagged and gooped at this moment, and Jacob is also in the same boat, and he's just like, I'm sorry. The next day at the office, Rami meets up with Samuel for a meeting and she's like, hey, I'm really sorry for the way I behaved. I would love to continue having our affair. Samuel's like, oh yeah, we can definitely continue having our affair, but we gotta set some rules. And she's like, agree. What do you think rule number 1 should be? And I wrote this down because I was like, oh, we're gonna get some rules and it's gonna be very important. He said, rule number 1 is, I'm gonna tell you what to do and you're gonna do it. And that's the only rule. I don't see how things could go poorly. We then see Rami getting dressed at this hotel and she's wearing a very beautiful golden gown. And when she opens the door to the hotel, Samuel's there and he's walking through the hotel and he opens the door and he's like, oh my God, they have a living room. That man is happy to be somewhere cool. They're hanging out. They're having a great time dancing and kissing and, you know, other things that adults do in hotel rooms. We also get some more milk play. I don't think I love watching Nicole Kidman lick up milk like a kitty cat, but I do like watching Harrison Dickinson lick milk off Nicole Kidman's face. This one's for you, Nicole. It doesn't get better. This is also a point in the movie where like they're trying to have some character development between the two characters and give them some more like background. But dare I say that I don't think I care about who they were before this moment. Like Rami talks a little bit more about like her cult life and Harrison Dickinson's character talks more about like just if he thinks he's a bad person for wanting to do kinky things. And I'm just like, this is not necessary. This movie is really perfect without the attempts to be something more. After I assume what is a day away from the office, again, I do not understand the time in this movie. Time is but a concept, am I right, ladies? Rami is at home celebrating her youngest daughter's birthday. The only time you're gonna hear about the younger sibling, but they're all dancing and having a great time when the doorbell rings. Rami's like, okay, I'll go get it. She opens the door and it's Esme and Samuel. Oh, that's not. Turns out that Esme and Samuel are dating. That's so fun. Would you believe that Rami's kind of pissed off about this? She tries to like talk to Samuel about it in the kitchen, which then turns into her trying to kiss him and he's like, what the fuck is happening? He pushes her off. They break some glass. Esme comes in and she's like, what's happening? And Samuel's like, nothing. Let's go. This woman is wild right now. Am I right? Rami's very embarrassed, but the main takeaway I have from this is that, girl, if you're into monogamy, maybe don't have an affair. Maybe talk to your husband and see what things you can work out in that moment, you know? But guys, this is not a situation like the train. Instead, Rami and Samuel are good. They're actually so good that they're gonna go dancing. Miss Nicole Kidman comes in with a blazer and a blouse and she's like, I'm looking for Samuel. Have you seen Samuel? And everyone is just rolling hard. And guys, fuck me, but Harrison Dickinson looks so fucking good in this scene in this tank top. I think I just love a man with broad shoulders and a tank top. After a fun night out, Ami goes home and she sees her eldest daughter is up and crying. It's implied that her girlfriend Mary found out about the whole neighbor situation at the country house estate, and rightfully pissed off, Mary breaks up with Isabel. And Isabel's like, I don't understand. And Rami is just like, I'm sorry that happened to you, but I'm having a fun night. This is really killing the vibe. I'm gonna go lay down. In the morning, everyone's having brunch and they're living life when someone rings the doorbell. Rami is like, who is that? Girl, get a Ring camera. But guess who walks into the kitchen? Esme. She comes in and she's like, hey. How y'all doing? Everyone heads out of the house to let Esme and Rami have a little chit chat. And Esme is so straightforward. She's like, I know you're fucking Samuel. I just want you to break up with Samuel. I'm also gonna break up with him because girl's girl. And you're gonna open up more opportunities for women within the company. You're also gonna give me my promotion. Yes? Nod so I know. You know. Blackmail has a time and a place, and Esme is the only character to figure out what the right time and the place is, and that is in this moment, and good for her. And she's not even using it for selfish reasons. She's like, girl, women empowerment, feminism, the liberation. So how is Rami gonna end this entire situation? Well, she ends up telling Jacob the truth of what happened, but she doesn't even tell him the whole truth. She goes, yes, I did cheat on you, but it was one night and it was with a complete stranger. Girl, you know the truth is gonna come out. Like, what are we doing? Jacob is pissed, so he kicks her out, which isn't a major deal because they're rich, so she just goes to the country house. While realizing some stuff, Rami hears someone swimming in the pool, and she looks out the window, and guess who it is? It's Samuel. She's like, girl, what are you doing here? And he's like, get in the pool with me. And so they do some like heavy petting in the pool. It's beautiful. It's lovely. I love it for them. Cool. Go inside to chat and warm up by the fire, and they're talking about how they're gonna end their tryst. And unfortunately for them, Jacob walks in on the conversation, and he's like, oh, so you've been fucking your intern and your mentee who's been at our house multiple times. Yeah, no. Cool. cool. And then he punches Samuel. Samuel and Jacob are in an all-out brawl, and Rami's like, what are you doing? They're breaking stuff. She's trying to end the entire thing. She's like, guys, it's over, please stop. After a while, the men settle down and talk about what's been really going on in a very normal way that I really thought that we were going to lead to a menage a trois. Instead, what happens is that Jacob kind of questions the whole sexual desires of Rami, and Samuel's like, hey man, you have a really outdated perspective of love and sex. This triggers Jacob to have a full-on panic attack. This man just simply cannot win. After their conversation, Samuel and Jacob leave, but at different times and in different cars. Can you imagine the both of them in a car together talking about the evolution of sex and love in our country and how it is being repressed once again through social media? No. And Rami is just left to mope in the country house. She's like, harumph. Let me just lay down for a while. After some time, Isabel shows up and she's like, hey mom, you're looking like grandma. What does that mean? They have a little talk, a little one-on-one, and she's like, Mom, Dad will forgive you just like Mary forgave me. Isabel, I am so sorry, but your mom is not 17, nor is she just a teenager. Your mom is a woman with 2 children, a husband, and a company, and some employees. Like, what she did was break trust on several different levels. Your trust with your girlfriend, sure, is young and naive, but like, it's not the same. Don't piss me off. Also, are we not gonna celebrate Christmas in this movie? The Christmas tree is up. Where is the presents? Where is the Christmas? Where is the spirit? Esme finally gets her promotion. Good for her. We love to see women win. And Rami ends her relationship with Samuel by sending him to a job in Japan. Jacob and Rami end the movie by having a little fun in the bedroom, and they're getting a bit more experimental with it. And as Jacob is pleasuring Rami for seemingly the first time in their entire relationship, she reflects on this crazy adventure she had and how she really saw herself as that dog eating a cookie from a hot guy's hand. And the movie ends with Rami climaxing for the first time in the hands of her husband, the baby girl. Was this a perfect movie? No, I have some thoughts. Again, where was the Christmas of it all? I also find the politics of its conversation to be extremely surface level, but that is just because I mean, I talk about these things with my friends and everything. Other people might find this a bit more like open-minded, but I think this movie struggles when it tries to diverge away from its main thesis point. Like when it's trying to like really develop characters and build on like that whole cult backstory, or like question if they are bad people for like indulging in their sexual desires. I just think that's too much. That's a hullabaloo that like really bogs down the movie. I am happy that Nicole gets to be baby girl. I'm also happy that like Harris Dickinson gets to be a baby boy. And I am excited to see more movies like this get made where hot older women get to kiss hot young men. It's the Anne Hathaway movie all over again, but better. I will say, if you're wanting a movie with like some sexual tension in it, Nosferatu has a lot more sexual tension and a lot more graphic nudity in the movie. Like, we saw a penis in Nosferatu and we didn't see anything below the belt in Baby Girl. But for me, I'm gonna give Baby Girl a B+. Again, it was a great movie, strong story, but it's a bit self-conscious about what it is, and you could really see it bleeding out to the screen. But nonetheless, I think this has some cultural value within cinema, and I respect it. I really enjoy it. But let me know what you thought about this movie in the comments. If there's an upcoming movie you would love me to recap, also let me know, because I am a whore for cinema. As always, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!